Dear friends, we have come to the last Sunday of Advent, and the readings for today give us the final touches we need in our preparation to receive Jesus Christ this Christmas. In short, we must receive Jesus Christ just as Mary and Joseph received him when he came into their midst as a small babe. That is, we must abandon ourselves completely to the plan God has in our life and trust him completely. The first reading, taken from the book of the prophet Isaiah, presents us with the character of King Ahaz, the king of the southern kingdom of Judah. Now during his reign, Jerusalem was under imminent threat. The kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Damascus were about to lay siege. During this desperate time, God comes forward to protect his people, and he sends his prophet Isaiah to King Ahaz with the message that King Ahaz should only trust God and that he should not go to any other human agent, and his trust in God will effect the deliverance of God's people. But King Ahaz has his own plans. He had recourse to the king of Assyria and approached him for help to deliver Jerusalem from this threat. Now, King Ahaz had all the reasons to trust the message of the prophet because he was a descendant of King David, and God had already promised that his chosen instruments of salvation would come from the descendants of King David, that God will deliver his people by the action of his chosen instrument. Despite King Ahaz's refusal to trust God, God in his infinite patience sends the prophet Isaiah again to King Ahaz. This time he sends the prophet with an extraordinary offer. The king will only have to ask the prophet to perform an extraordinary sign, a sign that would assure that God is determined to save his people. But King Ahaz responds to the words of prophet Isaiah with a quotation from scripture saying that he will not put God to the test. Given the context, King Ahaz is actually blaspheming God. He is saying that the prophet should pursue his own plans, that God should pursue his own plans, and that I will pursue my own plans. His decision would cost his kingdom dearly, because after the war, the kingdom of Judah would become a servant state of the kingdom of Assyria, and they would have to pay tribute. But despite the non-cooperation of King Ahaz, God promises that he will indeed perform a sign. But this sign is not a sign of God's determination to deliver King Ahaz and his petty kingdom. No, but it is a more profound sign, a sign of God's determination to save the entire human race, and that is that he would cause a virgin to bear a son, and this son will be called Emmanuel, which means God is with us. God indeed performs this sign nearly 700 years after the reign of King Ahaz, and the Gospel of Matthew actually quotes this scripture passage and says that God indeed fulfilled this promise through the cooperation of two very unassuming personages, that is, Mary and Joseph. If we see how Mary responded to God, the small word of peace is actually a sign of love of neighbor. Through these small deeds, we actually are cooperating with God. We are cooperating with God in His plan for our lives. Let us trust in the plan God has for our lives. And by doing these deeds, we can have a very meaningful, a very profound experience of Jesus Christ during this Christmas.